Welcome to the grooming next door. You're listening to my mommy and daddy.
And now our feature presentation.
Hi, pups and kittens, and welcome to episode 45 of The Groomer Next Door. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me, as always, and I'm going to remember you're here, is the lovely and talented Sarah.
Hello, and welcome to Take Two.
Take two. Yep. All right. I guess it's more inside joke to us. We lost episode. The last time we did this, we lost it for some reason, but no big deal. So, anyways, let's start off the show with a special guest. We actually were able to get Joshua Duggar from 19 Kids and Counting. If you actually have watched the show on TLC, he's, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest son.
He is the oldest son. First one to marry, first one to move out, first one to have kids.
Yep. He is actually now working in Washington, D.C. I think he's in politics, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure about that. So I'm going to actually just shut up now. And here's my interview with Mr. Joshua Duggar. Well, I'm standing here with Joshua Duggar from 19 Kids and Counting.
Hey, great to be with you. Thanks for coming out.
Always a pleasure. Now, on your show, we never see any animals that are ever around. So can you tell us what your parents have?
Well, actually they do have a couple that have been on the show a few times.
Okay.
They got a couple dogs there, and then they got a few cats. So they got, I think, three cats right now, and they've got 2 dogs. And so they actually, and over the years, my family's had a number of things. Actually, my dad has a farm now that's not right on their property. They have like a lot of cattle as well, and so we've learned a lot about livestock. But on the pet side of things, it's like, it's just great to have animals around. And I think, especially as a young guy, we had a dog, and she actually passed away. She had an accident, and it was really sad, but I can remember the bond and learning, a lot of things about taking care, being responsible as a child, but also just that bond of when you are willing to take care of an animal. And God was very clear in Scripture when He said, hey, if you respect the life of a beast, and you're willing to do that, then you're going to learn to be kind to everyone. And that's the most important thing. And so I think it's a great thing. We used to volunteer at the shelter in our area. We used to be able to go down there and help, and my mom did that for years growing up. She volunteered at her local shelter, and I encourage people all the time to do that. And especially when you're adopting a pet, we've actually adopted some animals over the years from our local shelter. Now, some of them had some major problems, but yet it was still, you're able to go in there and to really help that animal out, and it's a good thing. So we encourage it.
And that's what we always are trying to encourage on our show. We're always in our local shelter, local organization. What's the names of your pets?
Yeah, so I don't even know all the names because my younger siblings, I've been out of the house for 6 years, and so they're the ones that keep up with them. I'm trying to remember. I think it's Bo. Let's see, is it Bo? And you're going to really stump me now. I should know this because the 2 dogs are the ones that normally are hanging out, but they're kind of transients. They like to hang out on the other side of the property because there's a lot of people around the house, and that makes enough sense. So that's why you don't see them as much. They're my parents have like 20 acres where they are, so the dogs are just allowed to run wherever they want. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because I know when we're watching a show, my wife, of course, likes watching a show. So Sunday mornings we watch TLC, and if you guys are on, we'll be watching you guys. We never see any animals. So I was like, you know what? I need to ask you that.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of fun, and in fact, we had a kitten, and we lived on the highway. And my wife and I, when we first had Mackenzie, we decided to get a kitten, and the challenge was just where we were and where we lived. We didn't feel right leaving the animal in the house. So I always encourage people, if you have a place where you can have animals and they can roam free, that's the best way. Get a cat where you can train them, keep them in the yard, and have or a dog, and be able to have that, and have plenty of space for them to where they can enjoy it, and that's always what's fun. But the most important thing is that you're willing to value life, and God values life, and it's important as people of faith. And myself, we always need to make sure that we're encouraging people to show value in life, and so whether that's the people around you, your neighbors, or even pets. So,
always a pleasure. Well, thank you very much. Well, it was a very exciting moment to be able to actually have our first TV celebrity on our show. Thank you to Mr. Duggar for actually giving us some time and telling us a little bit of insight about the family animals that they have.
What's great about it, too, is that it really shows that kids, if allowed,
if it's permittable by their apartment or house or whatever.
Financials
is
get
good.
Some kind of an animal, cat, dog, rabbit, hamster. It really helps teach them the responsibility that there is something more out there than yourself.
Right, and that's one of the things we've mentioned in previous episodes. Claire has been, taught your responsibility is to feed the cats. So, it gives her an opportunity to feed the cats. It also gives the cats the opportunity to say, hey, that little girl actually feeds us. So we have to like her. Because as we know, animals don't always accept kids.
Yeah.
For example, I don't think Mama Kitty, I know for a fact, Mama Kitty was not the biggest Claire fan. So it was one of those things that by giving her that responsibility, it brought Mama Kitty and Claire together because Claire feeds her, so she has to be nice to her.
Yeah, then Mama Kitty meows at Claire, hey, I'm hungry.
And walks next to her as they're walking into the room.
It shows Claire, hey, you take care of this thing, you can build a bond with it, and it's satisfying. Taking care of another animal is satisfying. And what's great about what Joshua said, it's actual biblical.
Yes.
You're supposed to take care of the animals. Yes, God gave dominion over animals. It did not say that you're allowed to treat them however you feel.
Right. They're not just a four-legged idiot. They're actually wonderful, wonderful companions. The best part of life is having animals in it. So, a great big thank you for, the time that he took out. It was a very busy area where he was at, so.
And it was quite nice to have him down at such a small, town.
Right. Well, the Duggars actually come out here every year, this time every year, I think.
Like, the family, the main family, I guess you could say, the nucleus family, likes to go to Branson quite a bit.
Right.
And that's not too far from here. I mean, they live in Arkansas. It's not too far from us at all.
Well, yeah, Springfield to Arkansas is just a matter of like a 3 or 4 hour drive.
But he has the calling to do something bigger than just, a family man. He's been called to do other things too.
Right.
And luckily his wife is very supportive of him. I mean, they have beautiful children.
Well, you are the TLC love.
Yeah.
I mean, when we go away, Sarah's like, great, hotel TV, TLC the whole time. Now, it's not that we don't have this.
Hey, when Storage Wars is on, we'll go to Storage Wars.
Is TLC Storage Wars?
I don't think so.
Okay. Like when we were out for West Plains Veterinary Trade Show, the entire time we were in the hotel, we were watching TLC. Not because I wanted to, but because you made me.
Because I won.
Well, yeah, and I had a Roku adapter to go into the TV, which, unfortunately, folks, if you actually travel, don't really bring any kind of Roku, Apple TV. Most of the TVs, even though they're brand new and they have the USB, they, for some reason, don't allow you to use it. Drove me nuts. So, stick to the iPad. That's what I did. Stream your stuff from your satellite onto your iPad, put some earphones on, your gravy. All right. Well, again, thank you, Josh Duggar, for being part of the show.
I definitely appreciate it. Definitely thank you for coming down. The Patriots Day rally.
Yes. Which is where he was at.
Yeah. Is put on by the church that we go to at Landmark Baptist. It's also the same place where Claire attended her preschool. They got together and they put on this huge thing, and it was just amazing to see how many people were there, and just a lot of fun.
Right. And these are little events that even if a small town can do it, I know, for example, now that I'm here, I look back at the San Fernando Valley in California where I grew up, and oh my gosh, there's so many different things that go on there that, for some reason I was oblivious. I hear about all these things in, LA that's going on. Cost nothing. I can't believe I missed out on it.
Right.
You can really meet some great people, some interesting people who share in your interest, who might even have more influence.
And speaking of interesting people, we got to meet.
Well, we had our day with the couple. It was like a half an hour. We were interviewed for the Raleigh Daily News. That was an amazing moment. So, reporter came in before we started recording. Sat down, we did a pretty much a Q&A with the reporter, and he asked us, how did we get started, what's our background, how do we feel about what we're doing, all the, generic questions that, a lot of them, it was really hard to answer because it's like I'm never going to be satisfied with our outcome with the show. Doing the producing of it, it's a little bit harder because I have to look at the numbers. I have to deal with it on a daily basis. I want 1,000 downloads an episode. I want a 10,000 download episode. Obviously, it's kind of impossible, but one day maybe. So it was an amazing thing. I don't have a day when the article will come out. So if you are local here in Rolla and you are curious, you can always add me to Facebook. I will let you guys know and pretty much update everything on my Facebook page, what's going on, anything that we're a part of. Speaking of which, we both will be at Burwan Park next Saturday, September 20th. We will be attending Strut Your Mutt. So if you guys are in Rolla, around Rolla, or you're going to be driving past Rolla next Saturday, stop on by. I will be judging different dog events like Best Kisser, Best Dress, whatever. They'll put me in. I'll be in the ring there judging the contest.
And I'll be doing nail trims for $5. All the proceeds go straight to Peacock and all the wonderful work that they do. I really believe in them and all they have to offer. I've seen personally all the amazing things they do.
And we're a lot lucky to be a part of a lot of those things.
And hopefully to be a lot more what we can do. I mean, we're fostering.
Well, we'll get to Rambo's update in just a second.
But we're fostering a kitten that is sponsored by Peacock, and then once he's neutered in November, we'll find him a forever home. And then maybe if there's another foster that we need to take in, we can take in and help. But luckily, they're taking the big brunt of the cost.
Yeah, they handle the cost. We handle food, and we bought shampoo. Well, we didn't buy the shampoo. We bought the ointment. It was donated. We bought the ointment, though.
Yeah, the shampoo that he needs, a specific shampoo, was donated by a customer of ours. Sweethearted customers that we have. Woo-wee. We got some amazing customers.
We are very lucky. So, like I said, next Saturday, if you have any questions on what goes on, about 10 a.m., it might be earlier, it might be 9, it might be 10, I'll have to find out more information on that, but I think it's 10 a.m. is the actual walk where everybody who will bring their dog, you go on a nice walk around the park with all of their dog owners. It is an amazing opportunity to spend time with your pet and other people's.
Come out and speak to the two trainers that we have,
Yep.
Jesse and Mike. They're from two different, one's K9 Connection, and the other one's K9 Academy.
Right.
Speak to them. Find out maybe a trainer that can help you with whatever problem you're going through with your pet.
Or, talk to them if you want to actually, start a class with them. You have an opportunity to actually meet both of them. You have an opportunity to get to, interview both of them for possibly, as your I'm trying to think here. K9 trainer.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day.
Week.
So, it's a great opportunity. Now, if you are unable to make it next week to Strut Your Mutt, don't worry. I will make sure we will be doing a live podcast, live to tape podcast at the actual Strut Your Mutt event. I will be going around to everybody who has a booth, interviewing everybody there. I will be talking with people from Tikal, and I will actually be doing a video podcast or a vodcast for those of you who know what a vodcast means of the whole event. Hopefully I'm able to get, I'm hoping for a 30-minute show to go on YouTube. It may be less, but I am going to try to push for that. If you are in Canada, you obviously are all aware about the YouTube channel. You've all been watching, the podcast on there. We will have another vodcast come up. And, of course, we have another vodcast coming in from Rolla Animal Shelter coming soon. Let's see. That's all the upcoming events. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
You're coming along quite nicely in grooming.
Well, thanks very much.
You've mastered bathing. From the itty-bittiest dog to the 100-and-some-pound dogs.
Well, let's move right into what was last week like.
Hard.
That is correct.
A lot.
It was a lot.
Busy.
Tuesday was the one day that I just could not believe how hard it was. Tuesday was my rough day.
Well,
But,
I know there was 2
Thursday
days this
Thursday was
week.
rough too.
2 days this week, I didn't get out till 6.
Yeah.
It was that busy.
I can't remember what happened Tuesday. I just know it was really hectic, and then the power went out in the house because we had a very severe electrical storm. So the moment we got home, I think we were home for all of maybe 20 minutes, and power went out. It felt like for hours, but it was maybe a half hour to an hour, somewhere in between there. Almost made us actually go out and get dinner because we couldn't cook dinner.
Yeah, it was bad enough we got home late.
Yeah.
And then to have to cook dinner, I was like, okay, come on, I gotta go cook dinner. I gotta go cook dinner. And then if you didn't delay me through the talking and whatnot, I would have been halfway in the
Oh,
middle
because
of
we
dinner.
actually walked. Oh, that's right. I was showing you something, and it delayed you. But if you would have started, you would have been halfway involved, and it would have been worse. So
Yep.
we kind of actually lucked out. So, all right. So Tuesday was a cluster. I can't remember everything about it. I just remember, oh my gosh.
Thursday's the one that speaks to me.
Oh, it does me too. Not only because we already talked about it once, but because, it was a rough one. So, tell me, what happened on Thursday?
So we get into the shop and we already had a dog waiting for us. So I was like, hey, Chris, why don't you just go ahead and start on that dog? I'll wait for the others and call them if they're running late or whatnot. One of our dogs had to reschedule till the next day. I was like, okay, well, I have Zega, my ginormous Newfoundland.
Ginormous is not a good word. It doesn't speak volumes to how it really would Zega. Zega is a mini pony.
She is very big. I mean, to the point where she barely fits in our tub. But she's bigger than most Newfoundlands too. So anywho, I was like, well, we can just get our little schnauzer in on Friday, and I'm gonna sneeze. So
Anyways, what had happened was I was washing. Bless you. I was
Thank you.
washing a dog, and I had finished washing, drying. So I walk out of the bathing room, and everybody's looking at me.
Well, beforehand, once I got that other dog scheduled into the Friday slot, one of the kennel staff looked outside and says, wow, that's a big dog. And then Craig looked outside and he goes, uh-oh. I'm like, what? He goes, oh no, it's Zega. I gotta sneeze again.
Yeah. So I walked in. So I wasn't around for that. I was still in the back.
So I was like, no, you're kidding. Zega's not supposed to be in here until tomorrow. And he goes, well, they're here today. I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So as I'm panicking, Chris comes out of the bathing room.
And everybody turns their attention to me and all look at me. I thought I had a booger hanging from my nose the way you guys were looking at me. It was amazing.
So I grabbed his hand and I said, I love you, honey. I love you so much. I kissed his hand. I'm like, I love you.
I almost asked
all
who
my
died.
heart.
I was like, who died? Who died? And honestly, it was me who died, but go on.
And then, how'd you find out?
So I was kind of looking at everybody, and when Sarah, does the I love you so much, I know that there's something wrong. Either somebody died or I'm about to die, which typically I'm about to die. So anyways, everybody's just looking at me. So I kind of was like, oh gosh. So I walk over to the door, and to my surprise, I look out the window, and here's this big pony, which is Zega, this big Newfie. And I'm like, why is Zega here? Luckily, and here's the lucky part. I actually had just loaded my podcast with a bunch of podcasts. I had, I think, 5 new podcasts. I mean, it was loaded down. Luckily,
Right.
I had that. And Sarah's like, I love you. So, go on.
I love you. I just kept saying it over and over again. I love you so much. You're just so awesome. You're like my favorite husband.
I would like to know, are you you're reverse polygamous? Do you have more husbands?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm okay that I'm number 1, but I really only want to be number 1. I don't want there to be go on.
And they walked in and I said, hi guys, it's such a surprise to see you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Your appointment was for tomorrow. They're like, oh no, really? I'm like, yeah.
Now, let me make this clear.
I'm a sucker.
We were already, even with the reschedule, we were already booked. The reschedule only was going to ease our day a little bit. Give us kind of that little, okay, we don't have...
Cushion.
Yeah, it's that little cushion. We didn't have to just break our backs that day. We would be able to work, but not work like that, oh my gosh, you have extra dogs like we're used to working with. We didn't have to worry about the, somebody dropped off 2 extra dogs. That's what happened Tuesday. We came in and it was extra dogs that they didn't even have appointments.
That's what it was. It was Chloe checking in a dog without, confirming the appointment on the
So we were already booked on Tuesday, overbooked on Tuesday.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Lunch. You didn't have a lunch. You just worked straight through.
There was a couple days this week. I didn't have lunch. She didn't have lunch. And of course, I have to go pick up our daughter from school. So I have to make sure...
Which I think is going to be changing here soon.
I have a feeling it's going to have to. But morning dogs is not a big deal. But the afternoon dogs, it's a little harder. And then if I'm going to get any kind of work done outside of just bathing, it could be a little bit hard. So we'll see how things go as time's going on. But yeah, it was a rough one.
My postings on Shadowwood's Facebook were so late. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, if you guys actually don't know about the Facebook page of the work we're doing, and obviously, we don't do the show so that we get advertisement out there. This is not a show to build our business. As you can tell, we're already pretty booked up. But if you want to see, the kind of work that we're putting out, just go to Shadowwood Pet Resort LLC on Facebook, and you can actually see all the things, like the page, and then you kind of get an everyday idea of what's going in and out of the shop, and you'll see our work, and it probably puts a little bit of a difference to a podcast, kind of more interactive. On a side note, back to that newspaper, I don't have a date when the article will come out. I don't know if I even mentioned this already, but if you're on my Facebook, you will know. I'll post the day it comes out. If for some reason it comes out and you don't have that opportunity to see what I'm posting, I will also be putting it on our website. I'll put the article on our website, front page. I need to start putting the accolades that we're getting onto Facebook so everybody can kind of see, everybody who, says things about us. Positive, obviously. But I'm going to put that on our website as well. It's just building up the website, continuing that, doing the podcast, working, Claire, soccer coming up. It's overwhelming. I don't even know I couldn't even make it to Pete Call's meeting this week. I was just so busy, and I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it to Pete Call meetings until soccer's over with, because I think that's either a Tuesday or, PTO I won't be able to make it to because of soccer. That's usually practice on Tuesdays. And, when you're the coach, you have to go to practice because you're teaching the kids. So, yeah, it's been hectic. I think by next week we'll know more about her soccer. We'll know more about where I'm coaching, what team she'll be on. Obviously, she'll be on my team. It's as you can tell. Another thing you can tell is we're very busy. We don't have really a time to do anything except for get a little bit of sleep. But I like that.
Man, after church tomorrow, I am going to just veg out.
I am vegging out. I mean, we have Captain America, Winter Soldier that I'm looking forward to rewatching. Saw it in theaters. Love that movie. That'll be great. All right, so let's move on. Sorry, guys. Just overwhelming day. Let's see. Let's go into nervous dogs.
Right, we want to do that part too. I forgot.
I'm trying to keep...
In my mind,
we've already done
talked
this.
about it.
Yes.
So.
And let me say, folks, we recorded this episode, technical difficulties. We literally recorded it a couple hours ago, and we're back at it, going live again to do it again.
Well, I've noticed a lot lately that, or actually I noticed that we haven't talked about this, and it's actually something quite important. When dogs come in to get groomed, I see one of two things. Dog really doesn't want to be there, or the dog is nervous and anxious because the owner is showing signs of I would say kind of neurotic behavior, and worried that the dog's worried, so they start feeding off each other.
Right.
Most of the time, when dogs come in nervous or scared, it tends to start in the car. So if the dog is showing any kind of nervousness, any kind of anxiety in the car, by the time they get into her shop, the owner is already nervous and full of anxiety.
There it is.
And they feed off each other, and the dogs can feel through the leash. I mean, Cesar Millan has been teaching that forever now, that the more confident you are while holding the leash, the more
Right.
confident the dog's going to be.
Very true.
And it's just like with children. If you're going to be scared, if you're going to be nervous around people, your child is too. So when bringing in a pet to get groomed, the best bet is to make sure you have a confident stance, a confident hold on a leash, or when they're in your arms, don't keep petting them and talking to them like it's going to be okay. Hey, I'm going to be right back.
Well,
It's going to be okay.
that's the word right there. It's going to be okay. That's key word. Like something bad is about to happen.
Exactly.
You tell it to a kid, you say that to anybody, and they're going to think what's about to happen.
Right, so you come on in. A lot of dogs with anxiety, when they come in, I ask the owner to pick the dog up if they can, and if the dog is light enough. And I tell him, okay, hand me your dog.
Not like Zega.
No.
Not like a Roxy or
Anything
Katana
over 20
either.
pounds, I'm
Yeah.
not going to lift. So
No.
not to say hi, because so many things can go wrong there. So they pick up the dog, and I said, okay, what I need you to do is hand me your pet rough first. And I explained to him, by handing me your dog rough first, for one, it's further away from his teeth,
Yeah.
so I don't get bit.
No bite.
Secondly, they are seeing you releasing them into me. So when I step back, they see your hands out. Like, they just gave them up.
Right.
You know what I mean? That they trust that person enough to hand the dog over. And that builds confidence. And while I'm standing there holding the dog, I'm confident, I'm petting the dog, I'm looking at them, playing with their feet. All of a sudden the dog calms down, and the owners want to know how I'm able to do that. It's because I am calm. I'm not an eccentric groomer, so I'm not everywhere.
Eccentric. I just had a rat race moment there.
And I'm confident.
Right.
I was told this story by a customer who just moved from Hawaii. She said the last groomer was very good, but she was all over the place. Wild hair, chunky jewelry, constantly moving her arms when she speaks. Just very neurotic. She said her dog always kind of felt a little weird going to her, but she always did a good job. And then when I got to hold the dog, I held her, stood still, talked to the mom, petted the dog, and she's like, wow, the dog won't move. The dog's not shaking. Yeah, it's because I'm holding her confidently.
Well, that's one of the things. It's like when a dog needs to see the owner hand over. Now, for example, here's a side where a dog is not nervous about going to a groomer. We had one of our dogs come in, and this is, I think, Wednesday. Because it actually was what turned things over from a rough Tuesday to an easy Wednesday. Was a dog was brought in. Great, I can't remember the dog, but comes in, and now normally a dog or any pet, they're going to stay by master. That's what happens. This dog leaves, literally gets away from mommy, and runs right in around the desk where, the check-in desk, into the grooming salon, knows exactly its way, comes right over to me, sits down, and wants me to pet him. Pet her, I think it was a her. But the point is that there's an example of a dog that actually has been it understands that this place isn't going to, snip this or snap that. They're not going to stick their finger up an area. They're not going to put me to sleep and I'm going to wake up in pain. And that's the big thing. A dog, any dog needs to know that a groomer is there to actually make them feel good, not to make them hurt. If your dog, we've said this before, if your dog comes back from a groomer and they're skittish, you definitely have to ask a few questions. Call them up right afterwards and say, hey, my dog is scared. Did it show any signs of aggression? Or, there's a lot
Were they
of...
super scared? Were they kennel shy?
Yeah.
Were they, hesitant? These are questions you want to ask so you can properly understand the situation.
Right.
One of the reasons why it takes us longer to groom is because we don't rush through our work.
Which we do get criticized. People like to use that as their
Yes.
advertisement. Now we can get your pup out really quick.
In 45 minutes.
Which, let me tell you, folks, you don't want... what you're paying for when you're taking your dog to a groomer is that the loving care. I've said this already in previous podcasts. It's like taking your kid to daycare. You want to know that they're taking care of your child. Some people are so connected to their dogs because they can't have children. So they substitute children for actual animals. And it's not a bad substitute at all. Well, when you take your time, like I've said in previous episodes as well, a good thorough bath is a good way of bonding with the dog. That opportunity gives the dog comfort, a sense of understanding that nothing bad is going to happen. Same thing with drying. This all lines up for the groomer so that when they get the dog is calm, collected, and not afraid of its surroundings.
Exactly. Most people, like say if you have a Shih Tzu, is anywhere between $35 and $40, especially around here. Now, you go in and the person gets your dog back in 45 minutes. I mean, how many people can say they make $1 a minute?
Yeah, it does bring up a lot of questions.
$1 a minute. That's $60 an hour. I know tattoo artists that don't cost that much.
Or don't make that much.
Yeah, they don't make that much. Okay, so if someone says, I'll get your dog out in 45 minutes, that is ridiculous.
I even wonder, with proper work, you can't even really do a good job in an hour. I mean, you really think about it.
Well, I want to know how these people are able to wash, dry, and groom
I'm thinking,
a full haircut,
yeah.
nails, ears, everything in 45 minutes.
It does pose a question.
They're either rushing through the bath, they're rushing through the groom, they're not getting certain things, and there you go. Poof, 45 minutes later, you have your dog back.
Now, you may be asking as you're listening to this, well, okay, but that's good for me because I'm in time crunch. So why is this a bad thing? Here's why. Your dog has to go through this. That means an accelerated bath, an accelerated dry, and an accelerated groom. Now, when you use the word accelerate, think about what that word means. Think about if you were accelerated through something.
Exactly. Just say, ladies, if you go in and you're getting acrylic nails put on,
very good,
a full set of acrylic nails put on, and they do that entire acrylic nail in 30 minutes, how would you feel? 1, the job would be crappy.
Oh, yeah.
2, your stuff isn't dry, so it's going to mess up. 3, they'll probably cut you in the meantime.
Well,
okay?
you can't do any of the things you need to do.
And then you're paying full price for that. So it's the same thing if you take your dog in and it takes less than an hour to do the entire dog. Now, mind you, if you bring me a teacup chihuahua that only needs its feet trimmed, yes, you'll get your dog back in an hour. Now, I'm talking about a Shih Tzu and bigger.
Yeah, there's just no way.
Even little Yorkies, it takes a while to get them done properly. So, I mean, to me, it's a sham.
The bath alone is going to take almost half of your time.
If somebody is going to take that Shih Tzu and get that Shih Tzu done in 45 minutes, I'll tell you one thing. You should be paying less than $25 for it.
Yeah. I think actually you would pay more. A lot of those people will charge more because they like to market it as, we get your dog back in quicker time than an actual
Oh yeah,
groomer.
speed grooming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen many speed groomers. Okay, I've seen their work. I've seen what the dogs look like leaving. Therefore, I made sure to promise myself I'm not going to be a speed groomer.
Well,
Your dog's going to be with me for a couple hours.
and that's one thing that, all the things that you're teaching me, every little thing, and I mean steps to just doing a body, legs, and feet alone. The steps that go into it, it's not something you can just do 1, 2, 3 and it's done. It doesn't work that way. But the point that we're making with this, it's of course pulling back the curtain, but it's the other part is you don't want your dog to be nervous. A lot of dogs do come back from these situations and they're completely nervous wrecks because that's what they're used to.
Well, Katie, for one. Katie, she was a nervous wreck. I mean, the lady was coming in to anywho, the dog was scared. Was so scared out of her mind. The first couple times I groomed her, the last groomer screwed her up hardcore. And now, you know what Katie does? Katie runs up and jumps on my legs and jumps to get into my arms.
Right.
That's what Katie does now. And her mama is so happy that there's a new groomer, that there's a better groomer that she's found, that she can leave her babies with us without issue. Katie runs to you, since you guys bond a lot with the bath and the blow drying. Katie bonds with me with the grooming and the loving and the caring. And I mean, folks, my clippers aren't on the whole time. I stop, I play. For one, I have to have sanity too. And puppy love is the best cure. So the best way to keep sane is to play.
Well, yeah, and this comes back to one thing. Your dog's nervous habits are all formulated from this. Now, a dog could get nervous in a car ride. Dogs get car sickness. A lot of people don't understand this. They may look nervous. They're not nervous. They're just queasy. And then they get to the shop and they throw up this white foamy substance. It's because they're car sick.
And if your pup is car sick, please do not feed your dog before you bring him in. We'll be more than happy to leave a snack for him if you bring in a snack. Just don't feed them before they come in here, because
this all applies.
It can't feel good throwing up all your food.
No. And this all applies to whether you're in Canada, you're in Brazil, you're in Europe. Obviously we have so many different places that listen to us that if you're in any of these places, please take all this stuff into consideration, because this definitely is all for you guys. Anything else you want to cover on nervousness?
Just be confident. Go in. If you're not confident in your groomer, you gotta change your groomer.
Oh yeah.
Because how can you show confidence to your dog if you're not even confident in your groomer?
And here's another thing, folks. If you're going to a grooming salon and only thing that they have to say is negative things about others, you've also got a big problem, because that shows a lack of confidence in their own work. So make sure, if every time you go into the grooming salon you hear another thing about some other groomer, definitely start to consider that those people are not of what you're thinking. They're only spreading rumors, lies, whatever, to actually help cover their own whatever. So keep these things in mind. Hopefully, this actually gives you a little bit more insight, helps you out a little bit. All right, moving right along. I'm trying to remember what the other thing was, so I'm just going to dive into our main topic.
9/11.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, again.
We already talked about it.
We did. All right, folks. So, as everybody remembers, whether you're from here or another country, this past Thursday we remembered. I hear it all the time. The word we celebrated 9/11, and I
celebrated the life.
Yeah, I still just don't like the term. I hear it on the news all the time. I don't like it. We went through the 13-year anniversary of 9/11 this past Thursday. Now, I didn't know anybody that was affected by any of this stuff.
Neither did I.
The closest thing I had was there was a scout for the Los Angeles Kings who was on one of those planes, but I didn't know him. You know, I just lived in the town where the team played. But you know, I remember where I was. Everybody remembers where they were. It was the first time since Pearl Harbor that we actually had an attack on our country. And, you know, if anything, you know, we like to always remember those that were lost during that tragic day. Now, I remember my story when I woke up that day, but tell me about yours, where you were.
I was actually, we were waiting to move into our new house, so we were kind of living with my cousins for a little bit until we got to our house. But I was passed out, I was asleep. I'm a teenager at this point. I was homeschooled, so it didn't really matter what time I got up. But my mom came in. She came in kind of abruptly, you know, we're under attack, we're under attack.
I don't remember. I thought it happened before 8 o'clock our time. I
don't know. All I know is I was asleep.
Yeah.
And I was right outside. So I don't know the time of day. That didn't cross my mind. And I go in and I'm like, what, Mom? She goes, look. I'm like, what movie are you watching? She goes, this isn't the movie, this is real. I'm like, what? And just as I look at the TV again, I saw the second plane hit the second tower. And I just felt weak in the knees. Like, who would do such a thing?
Well, at the time, I don't think any of us really. I mean, we
were just teenagers. I knew about terrorism. I
vaguely knew about terrorism even then.
I did a computer report and a PowerPoint presentation. I did a movie presentation on it. So I knew about it. But the only ones that I really knew about were like Russian terrorists and stuff like that.
Like pirates.
Huh?
Like pirates?
No. Like Russians.
Ah.
But
I was watching Claire.
Oh. Yeah.
So I
pirates are still out there too, and they're
I
the
feel
same
that
thing.
was the closest thing to terrorists that I could think of, even at that time.
So watching that happen, I just couldn't believe it, and then finding out about what happened in that Pennsylvania field. You know, that man on that phone calling his wife, telling him he loves her, and what they have to do to stop this. And someone says, "Are you ready?" And he goes, "Let's roll." I mean, I can hear that voice. I can hear his voice to this day.
I think we all can remember. I woke up. I worked for Disneyland at the time. When you work for Disney, I worked in attractions. So I was getting my Thunder Mountain costume, which I look like a cowboy. One of the worst costumes you could possibly wear. But I'm putting my costume together. I'm getting dressed at home. I'm fully in costume. And, you know, at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I'll eat my breakfast. I'll watch a little TV before I leave. And I turn on the TV, and I think the first plane had hit. And they were talking about it for a little bit. And then a little bit later, the second one hit. And I was appalled. I woke everybody up. My mom and grandmother were in the house. And my grandmother was awake. But I woke my mom up, and I go, you won't believe what's happening. I didn't even know how to even address the issue, and even to this day it's really hard to address. So I watched the plane hit. I watched the news, and I called Disney up. I called our scheduling department, and I asked a stupid question, but what's going on in New York? I doubt it has any effect on us, but will we actually be coming into work? And the scheduler says, I'm glad you called. No, the FBI has actually closed us for the day. And come to find out that Disneyland was an actual hit as well. It was a hot spot. It was a very hard moment. It was the first day that Disneyland actually closed its doors. It never had done that before that day. And then, of course, when we went back to work, we had, FBI talk to all of us, and they gave us a lot of insight of what's going on. It was a scary time. I think I lasted at Disney for another month and a half But you went to work after that so afraid about the safety that you were going to go through. So, yeah, rough time. But, you know, this is that moment that we want to pay tribute to everybody who gave up their life, everybody who was in both Twin Towers, who was in any of the planes, people who were lost in the Pentagon. We want to make sure that, you know, we actually give you guys that moment. So we're going to give you guys a moment of silence. So anyways, moving on to more lighter comedy of, I guess it's really not even comedy, because the next segment is not any better than the last part. Our big topic for this week is animal abuse. Now, I know we talk a lot about different things to look out for, but we really have a nice little segment. 2 reports that came out. The CEO of Centerplate, he was in a British Columbian hotel up in Vancouver. If you don't know where British Columbia is, I don't know, there might be 1 or 2 people. But I think he was working on some kind of arrangement, probably with BC Place, which is the arena up in Vancouver where the Vancouver Canucks, and I don't know who else, if anybody else plays there, but he was probably there for that reason. Anyways, he's a real a-hole. He was taking, I guess, a friend let him take his miniature.
No, it's
Adobe.
It's a Doberman Pinscher.
Thank you. I had Min Pin in my head. It was a Doberman Pinscher. You're right. Was taking it for a walk. Gets into the elevator. He was staying in a really high scale condo, which any kind of place that has that kind of I guess clientele, they always have.
Well, yeah,
they monitor those.
We got
types.
to see the actual video, and the video was horrible.
It's horrific.
I mean, it was crystal clear. That was the problem. It wasn't pixelated, so it's not like you get the drift. No, you saw what happened. And he pulled the dog into the elevator and used his foot to force it to the ground to lay down. So the dog was laying down, looking up. And mind you, this is a 1-year-old Doberman. And gorgeous Doberman.
It really was it is a really cute dog.
Dog laid down, was looking up at him, and then out of nowhere he just grabs that leash and pulls it up and hangs the dog with the leash and puts him back down and kicks him again.
Right. Now, and it's, of course, ain't nobody got time for that segment of the week as well. So I am going to step aside and let you guys listen to the news report.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Controversy surrounding the company Centerplate, which provides concessions at all sporting events on campus at Notre Dame. It involves this video you're seeing right now. Fortune reports in an article online that the man you see kicking a dog in an elevator in Canada is Centerplate's CEO, Des Haig. In the video, you can see the dog being kicked and then yanked by its leash. In a statement, Haig apologized for what happened, saying it was out of character. He said it was a friend's dog and that he was ashamed and deeply embarrassed. Centerplate has run Notre Dame's concessions since 2011. Now, in a statement to WSBT, University spokesman Dennis Brown said, quote, "We find the action of Centerplate's CEO to be deplorable and will closely monitor this matter as the company conducts its internal review."
Just a few days now. At 11, the head of a company that is used at Lucas Oil Stadium, the convention center, and the zoo is apologizing after being recorded in a disturbing case of animal abuse. We want to warn you that the video you're about to see is graphic. According to court documents, Desmond Haig, the CEO of Centerplate Incorporated, was in this elevator in Vancouver, caught kicking a Doberman several times and yanking it by the neck as he exits. The video has gone viral today, with people around North America promising to boycott any place that uses Haig's company.
It's not the right way to treat an animal or to train an animal. Like, if you don't have the patience, then don't have a dog.
It really hurts me because the dogs are dependent on people, especially their owner, to treat them properly, and for someone to take advantage of that is repulsive.
As of tonight, no animal cruelty charges have been filed, but Canadian officials have taken away the dog for treatment. Haig has also apologized for his actions, issuing this statement to Global News in Canada. He says, "I take full responsibility for my actions. This incident is completely and utterly out of character, and I am ashamed and deeply embarrassed. Under the circumstances of the evening in question, a minor frustration with a friend's pet caused me to lose control of my emotional response. Unfortunately, I acted inappropriately, and I am deeply sorry for that, and I'm very grateful that no harm was caused to the animal. I have reached out to the SPCA and have personally apologized to the dog's owner. At this time, I would like to extend my apology to my family, company, and clients, and I understand that this has also reflected negatively on them."
Well, that's a lovely person for you. And you know what's even nicer about it is that here's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation. Here's somebody that you look at, you say, well, he's, educated, he's got a good job, he should know better. There's, this guy is going to be the best of everything. He's going to be a best father, best husband, best, everything. Look, folks, we are the last one to say that just because you have a good education is going to get you, make you the perfect person. It doesn't. This is where you really can see abuse can happen from anybody. It doesn't matter what your pay grade is, doesn't matter what you've done education-wise, doesn't matter what kind of job you have. These people exist no matter what.
They're all walks of life.
Yep.
You can look at the little lady across the street to this multimillionaire who who does this heinous act. I don't care if you're having a bad day. I truly don't care if you're having a bad day. You do not do this.
No.
I mean, grooming, you have dogs biting you. You have dogs freaking out for things. And if you get overwhelmed, you put them back.
Right.
And then you go and take a breather. Let the dog have a breather. And then you go back and try it again. You don't do this. Now, animal abuse, like I said, can send to a little lady. Could have the best intentions in the world, taking in all the strays, trying to feed them. But at the same time, they're going to the bathroom in the house. They're living in deplorable conditions. And that is a form of animal abuse.
Which has been actual stories out in Kansas City. There's been a couple locally. They're nationwide. The woman lost her husband. I remember this one story, woman lost her husband, and her way of coping was she would take a stray cat, dog, whatever, bring it in, feed it, give it a roof to, be safe, avoid the conditions outside, and then down the road another one, and then another one, and it's like the TV show Hoarding, or Hoarders.
Animal hoarders.
Animal hoarders. Well, I was thinking that the actual people that hoard,
Hoarders.
Yeah, just hoarder in general. It's not that that they're looking to actually neglect. It's not a neglect that they're actually in mind. They're actually thinking that they're doing good, and in some sense they were at the beginning, but it becomes a health condition for themselves, and it becomes a health condition for the animals around, because the other animals that are strays could have ringworm or a respiratory infection or who knows what, and then you just brought that contaminant in to all the other animals that might not have suffered from any kind of condition, so it becomes an epidemic. So the best of intention sometimes can be, a form of cruelty. Now, of course, here's where we pose to all the listeners. You have an opportunity to, if you see any of these things, you see somebody kick a dog, you see somebody mistreat a cat, of a hoarding situation, definitely contact your local shelter. Talk to animal control agent and see, what they can do. If they can come in and they can, look at the situation, they're going to know the laws. We always say it. For example, today we were at Walmart. What happened was we saw John Redshaw, and he's in the animal control vehicle, and we're like, well, come to find out, there's 3 dogs in a truck windows are up. Now, it wasn't a super hot day today. Today was about 60.
But the thing is that it was very sunny, clear skies. That sun was beating into that window, and you know, windows can intensify the heat.
Right, it's
so
a
even though it's
magnifier.
cold outside, the magnification of the heat can jump very high.
So a truck outside temperature is 60 degrees. Inside temperature is roughly about 100. You have no water in there, you have no ventilation, you have multiple dogs breathing the same air, and on top of it, you got dogs that have jackets on, which, you know, another word for that is fur, and, you know, it's a bad situation. So, you know, animal control was called, you know, a good citizen had noticed it, went into Walmart, they didn't break the glass on the vehicle and say, well, I'm justified for vandalism. They actually acted correctly. They went in, they talked to the manager apparently, the manager called animal control.
I think it was the other way around, because when we heard the page, that was the first time I think they heard about it. They would have paged first. So
I think
the
somebody
person
called?
actually called the shelter, had John come down, and then went into Walmart, because then John kind of pulled around to the side and went into Walmart.
You have a good point there. I actually think you're right. I think somebody actually got on the phone and called animal control. You can call, you know, the police department too.
Yeah, the non-emergency line. Please do not call 911.
Yeah, don't call 911. It is an emergency, but you can contact a non-emergency line.
If the dog is in complete distress, laying on its side, panting very hard, or barely breathing, you go in and you break that window to get that dang dog out.
I love the country accent on that one.
Shush. Leave it
Yes.
alone.
You actually, at that point, you're saving a life. But, you know, in this circumstance, the person, whoever it was that actually intervened, they did the right thing. So, you know, again, these are things that you actually have to look out for. You know, if you're walking down the street and you see a man knock his kid to the ground, are you going to just turn around and go, well, I don't want to get involved? Or are you going to go over there and step in? I personally have stepped in. I don't think that, if you allow this abuse to happen, it's just going to continue until somebody gets hurt or they're killed. You know, this last video was no different than the Ray Rice situation with the Baltimore Ravens. Here's a very aggressive person in an elevator, abuses somebody, and look at the situation. I don't exactly, we have conflicting outcomes, both Sarah and I, on what happened to the CEO. Fact of the matter is, the guy is just a piece of crap, and that's the easiest and most rated G way I can say it. Anybody who's going to abuse an animal, a child, or a senior citizen, you really are garbage, and I'd love to have some private time with you, because you won't abuse me like you abuse them, plain and simple. So, let's see. Ain't nobody got time for that. Anything you want to add on that one?
Well, not on that. I think we covered that pretty good. They're just try to intervene. Make sure you stay safe.
Yes, always stay safe.
If the person ends up being so aggro, sorry folks if you're picking up a lot of feed, there's a tour bus with a bunch of teenage girls and you know exactly how they can be. Anywho, but I think that part's pretty well handled. Just be safe when doing such, use caution, but try your hardest to help anybody that's in stress, in need, in dire straits. That's one of the reasons why we really support Purple Leash campaign. They come into abusive houses to help the women, to help men, help the children, and help the dogs.
Right.
To make sure, because if some father's going off on his wife, beating his kids, he's going to beat the dog.
Oh, yeah.
So this way, the best way to get that dog out of the situation is to help the people first.
Right. It's definitely something that it's a sad situation. I wish life didn't have so many bad situations like this, but unfortunately, in the world there's going to be hate or hateful people. So, anything else? Huh? Oh, yes. Thank you. All right, well, let's close out everything with our update on Rambo. How is little Rambo doing?
Rambo is just that. He is rambunctious. He is a playful little kitten. I haven't seen any kittens this playful before. He's doing something new. He's starting to stand up on his back legs like a meerkat and just stand there and look. He'll chase after anybody and any animal. He loves biting Callie's tail. And Callie just looks over at him and pulls her tail out of the way, and he just goes back for more. Callie and him are really bonded pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're the
He can
good.
do pretty much anything he wants to Callie, and she just lets it.
That is true. Actually, for me, my newest thing I've noticed with him is that he likes to cuddle up with me. When I'm on the couch, he wants to stay there, lay on me, lay on his back, wants me to pet him. Really trying to bond with me even more than before. I don't know if it's all the baths that I give him.
Well, see, the thing is, he doesn't do that with me anymore. I've been giving him more baths than you have, and I've given him forced all his medicine.
Yeah, you've been really
putting all his medication on him because he has.
Yeah, look, folks. I'm gonna say this right now. Sarah's been 100% the doctor involved in this. She has taken full charge. She has been amazing in this. This whole transformation of Rambo is all because of Sarah. She has taken charge, done all the work. Honestly, folks, everybody give it up for Sarah. She's the one who did it. Everybody who's enjoying this Rambo update, it's all because of Sarah, and I don't want anybody to think that I had anything to do with it. I give it a bath here and there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I gave it a bath. You did Thursday, Friday. She has been amazing throughout this whole thing. You've done the medicine, you feed it, you do everything.
Thank you. It's been a lot of work, but man, it's enjoyable.
I play with the cat. That's my level here.
Well, the last
I
two
pick
nights,
up the poop when it poops around.
we're struggling to get him litter box trained. We are going through carpet cleaner like nobody's business right now. Luckily, most of our house is laminate flooring.
Thank gosh.
I mean, there's only 2 spots where we have carpet, and we've been going through carpet stuff. But jeez Louise, we buy him the clay stuff, the clay litter, he eats it. We give him the crystal litter, he eats it. So the next thing is like, okay, maybe paper? Shred up newspaper or something? I don't know.
Maybe he'll read it.
But, yeah, it's going good. We're still trying to get this ringworm situation under control. That's been very difficult.
Yeah, Kim came by the other day, gave us some ringworm medicine.
No, it gave us dewormer.
Oh, I'm sorry, dewormer.
So the medicine for ringworm, I have it, but we gotta keep putting it on, and we're fighting with it, and it seems like it's, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, getting this cat into health is going to be challenging. It has been challenging. I mean, we've been working on it for a couple weeks now. Obviously, this
all
cat...
the website says that it's actually quite difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, so, I mean, this cat is nowhere near adoption stage. Obviously, we mentioned it last week. 12 weeks in, has to get neutered. You got like another week until, and after that, then you have to get stitches out. And so...
He'll be 6 weeks here soon.
Yeah, so he's still 6 weeks away from his actual neutering, and
neutering will be in November.
Right.
And then we have to let him heal.
It's about 8
and
to 10
make sure that
weeks.
the ringworm is completely cleared up, and then we can get rid of him.
No, I wish it was going to be that easy.
No, I keep telling myself, oh, he's not that cute. Oh, that's not cute. No, that's not adorable what he just did. No. He needs to find another place. No, that wasn't cute. Rambo, stop jumping up on your back legs and pawing at the cat's tail while they're sitting on the couch. That's not cute.
As she's going, oh my gosh, I gotta take another picture. Take another picture. I think your camera phone is full of photos of just Rambo.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things.
I'm telling myself, no. I already have 2 cats.
I refuse to fall in love with you.
I'm not a cat person.
I've never seen you this much in love with a cat, though.
That's kind of cute. Whoever ends up adopting him is going to get one good cat.
Yeah, I agree.
And hopefully full of love, too, because we're trying to love on him. and he purrs so loud. Oh, he's such a purr. It's quite nifty.
So what you're trying to say is he's perfect?
Yes.
Okay.
Except we're trying to break him of biting hands.
Yeah, that's
Kim
the word.
said, don't let him bite your hands, or it's just going to make it worse, and then it can actually hamper him from having a forever home.
Right.
And if something happens and he ends up in a shelter because that so-called forever home failed him, then it would be a little more difficult, or it'd be even more difficult for him to get adopted out from a shelter if he bites hands.
Right.
So, okay, we're working on that, Kim. We promise.
All right. Well, I think we've really kind of gone through the gauntlet of this episode. Again, thank you to Joshua Duggar. Thank you for your time. Thank you for actually, doing an episode, a segment for us. Thank you to the Rolla Daily News for wanting to do an article on us. Eddie is the reporter. Thank you. I wasn't going to really use the name, but
it's going to show his
it will.
name
It
on
will.
there
It will.
once
I know he doesn't really want to be. He didn't want to do an on-air type thing. But anyways, thank you, Eddie, for wanting to do this article. Again, this is a great show to do. I enjoy getting ready to do these shows every week. It is a pleasure to actually do this. It's more of a pleasure to know that everybody out there wants to listen to us. So,
it's quite an honor to know that he liked what we were doing and wanted to learn more about us. It was quite nifty.
And we'll let you guys know when the article will come out. It'll be in our local paper. I'll get a PDF of it. So if you aren't in the area, don't worry. I will have it up on our website for everybody to be able to read. Anything you want to add?
No, I think it's a good time to end this.
It is good time.
I'll be able to handle Claire's teenage girls, but I cannot handle more than that.
I have a headache, so I definitely want to go home. All right, everybody. I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green. Remember, everybody, life is short. Play with your pet.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, gotta go in my bedtime.